took our bags with us, got on this boat, and then went off into the Amazon. And like all these tours, they basically kind of sold you everything, you know. They really wanted you to buy into it and buy their tours. So they'd tell you that you're going to see all of these animals and you see all of this stuff. And I kind of thought, we'll probably see half of it if we're lucky. But in the Amazon, honestly, on that first 3-hour boat journey to get to our lodge that we were staying in, we pretty much saw everything. We saw 3 different species of monkeys. We saw caiman. We saw piranhas. We saw all of these beautiful birds, Amazon kingfishers, parrots, macaws flying across. And the most incredible thing we saw was pink river dolphins. And there's estimated to be only around 3,000 wild pink river dolphins left in the whole of the Amazon. And in Ecuador, there's only 2% of the Amazon in Ecuador. So it's a really small area. But the fact that we saw 2 pink river dolphins was amazing. And, you know, you could see the pigment in their skin and they were pink. And me and Connie were just looking at each other like my eyes were wide. I couldn't believe what we were seeing. And we got to our lodge and we settled in. It was really cool. We were just staying in the middle of the jungle, and we went out that night. Hunting for caiman. So we found all these caiman in the dark because they come out at night and they hunt. And we saw like 3 different species of caiman, some of them up to 4 meters long. So that was just really cool. And then the next day, we kind of went on a trek through the jungle, and the guide was telling us all these incredible things. There was like the big tree in the Amazon, the famous tree that's hundreds of years old. We saw all these insects and snakes. We saw a spider, which I found really interesting. It was called a golden silk spider. And he was telling me that the silk of a golden silk spider is so strong that I believe it was 5 millimeters of the silk from the spider could stop a bullet. And that blew my mind. And he was telling me all of these crazy facts throughout the next 3 days that I just thought was incredible. And we went on this trek, and then later that day, we were going hunting for an anaconda, which just sounds absolutely mental. You'd never be able to do that, you know, somewhere in Europe or in England, go hunting for an anaconda. And so we went out on the boat, and we went out to this lagoon area. And basically, they kind of sat on these big trees, kind of sunbathing. And he said that we'd not seen one for 2 weeks, so there wasn't a high chance that we were going to see one, but he was going to do his best. And then he spotted another canoe, because there was lots of different lodges in the Amazon, and they were all on these tour guides offering a similar thing. And we drove in, and we get to this point, and all these people are staring at it, and there's this massive snake. And our tour guide thinks that it's 2 snakes, so he thought it was 2 snakes. Now, when that canoe comes out and lets us go in, and we're literally like me from the camera away from this anaconda, he realizes it's just one, and it's 7 meters, and it's a female, and it's as big as they get, and he can't believe it. And you can always tell if you're seeing something that's amazing, because the tour guide's like is crazy. He's trying to explain to me, guys, you don't understand how special this is. This is the Amazon. This is as good as it gets. And Connie was fascinated. For some reason, I don't know why, Connie was fascinated the whole time. She kept saying, I hope I see an anaconda. And I was saying, do you know what an anaconda is? It's like a snake, but like can eat people. And so we're seeing this anaconda. She couldn't believe it. And then he drives us like another 100 meters away into this big lagoon, and he goes, right, you can go for a swim now. And Connie's like looking at me going, there's no way you're swimming in that. And I'm like, there is no way I'm coming to South America and not swimming in the Amazon when the guys just said we can do it. So yeah, I had a great time doing like backflips into the Amazon, swimming in the water like 100 meters away from where we've just seen that anaconda. That was brilliant. And then that night we drove back. We kind of like went back on the boat to the lodge, and we saw fireflies in the air, and I've never seen that before. And you can see the noise of the jungle. It's so loud. And at one point he asked us to stop and close our eyes and just listen to the sound of the jungle. And it was incredible. And me and Connie were going to leave the next morning. So we got up at 6 and we were going to go bird watching. And for me, this was the coolest part of the trip. So he took us out on the river. And then the first thing he did was he obviously spotted something. And he had like a guy driving the boat at the back, and he was like the guide at the front. He was a really cool guy. And he pulled up to the riverbank. And he said, right, guys, can you listen? So we all listen like that. We can't hear anything. And he says, right, I want you to clap your hands and stamp your feet and shout march all at the same time. So we start going march, 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 like that. And he says, listen again. So we stop and listen. And you can kind of hear something, but not that loud. And he asks us to do it one more time. And this time, when he asks us to listen, all of a sudden, you hear this sound that you can only describe as it sounds like an army with like chainmail on, marching through the jungle. And he explained to us that this was a species of wasp that thousands of years ago had learned, basically the theory is they'd learned that when an Inca or Mayan army would march through the jungle and make that sound, it would scare away all the animals. And the wasps like clocked onto this, and they learned how to beat their wings and make that marching sound. And that just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. And they literally come out when they feel threatened from the nest, bat their wings like that, and make this marching sound, and it scares predators off. And so that was just, yeah. I mean, you're seeing Mother Nature at its absolute best. It was unbelievable. And he took us around this bend in the boat, and all of a sudden this massive bird flies across the top. And I'm so grateful I was looking in the right place. And it's what's called a harpy eagle. And I'd seen these on David Attenborough, like documentaries when I was a kid. And it's like the eagle that when it puts its head down, it's got like these feathers at the back, and it makes this screeching noise. And it was carrying a monkey, and it had caught a monkey. And the guide lost it, absolutely lost it. He took us back to the lodge, and we went out into the jungle trekking, trying to find it, because he was explaining to us that there are scientists that come out to that part of the jungle to try and study this animal, and they spend a month there and never find it. And it had only been the second one he'd seen all year. And to see it with a monkey was just incredibly rare. So, yeah, we kind of left that trip, big smiles on our faces, couldn't believe it.